Hello everyone, my name is Salim and welcome to the Markets Breakdown Analysis for Wednesday, the 1st of November 2023. We'll be breaking down chart and show the exact zones where price will close for potential buys or close below for potential sells as well. So looking at the daily candle for Tuesday, the daily has been bearish, more likely will be closing bearish for respecting the daily resistance from the Monday. Now what's interesting here is how this monthly candle is retracing and more likely will be closing below the monthly resistance formed in May 2023, meaning closing below 1987. Now on yesterday's analysis, I've mentioned how there was a higher probability for the monthly candle to close below this monthly resistance, and then obviously we've had two confirmations based on high time frame to why we anticipated for the daily candle to close bearish. And by this daily candle closing bearish, that means the monthly will retrace and have enough range to close below this monthly resistance. Now, the first confirmation we've had for this retracement to happen is when you look at the monthly candle for October, since I'd say the 7th of October, we've had a strong bullish momentum. Obviously, that was due to the Palestine-Israel situation with the war. And obviously, what we know is usually when there is war and there is uncertainty in the world, we see gold pumping up. Now, the anticipation was to see price to retrace and respect this monthly resistance area. The first confirmation we've had is there was a strong bullish momentum from the start of the month, and we've had barely no retracement on the high time frame. As we can see on the weekly, there was a strong bullish momentum continuation to the upside. When you look on the monthly here, what we could see is this was a monthly resistance formed back in May 2023. Now, I've mentioned how this wasn't a strong monthly resistance, for example, because a strong monthly resistance would look like a monthly candle closing bearish with a big body candle. But what we've had with this confirmation was the rejection to the upside, and this rejection links into these two rejection areas where the monthly candle rejected previously. Now, that was the first confirmation. The second confirmation we've had is price was approaching this weekly resistance, and as we can see, the weekly candle last week closed below the weekly resistance formed on the left here. The third one we've had as well is a daily resistance that was formed on Monday. Now obviously we anticipated for price to retrace and for the monthly candle to close below this monthly resistance. Now to break down the chart and looking at the daily, obviously the daily will be closing bearish. Looking at the 4-hour time frame now, so what we can say here is we have the most recent 4-hour support formed around 1979-200, the most recent 4-hour resistance formed around 1999-800. Drop it down to the hourly time frame, and now we have this new range on the hourly. So we can clearly see we have a hourly support that matches with the 4-hour support, which was formed around 1979-200. We have this weak hourly resistance around 1985. Drop it down to the 30-minute time frame. Now what we can see, we can adjust it a little bit. So we can adjust the level of support based on the 30-minute time frame to 1980. We can adjust the level of resistance to, I would say, 1987. Drop it down to the 50-minute time frame, and now we have these decent ranges on the 50-minute time frame. And now to identify the no trade zone. So I'd say potential buys, what we could do is we could wait for price to break and close above this hourly high, above the 30-minute and the 50-minute resistance. That means above 1987. Potential sells, now obviously we have this hourly support. We also have a 30-minute support, so potential sells could be below 1980, and this is going to be the no trade zone. And now to look for potential buys. That's the usual thing we start with, is to look for potential buys. Going back to the daily, now since the daily is closing bearish, the anticipation is to see that continuation to the downside. The only thing we have here, we have to keep in mind, is we are approaching a messy range on a daily time frame. So the first thing we can see, obviously, is we'll put a line to where the daily candle started at 1995, 400. Drop it down to the 4-hour time frame, zooming in, and what we can see here, we have the previous 4-hour support formed around 1992. Drop it down to the hourly time frame that matches with the hourly support. Looking at the 30-minute time frame, that also matches with the 30-minute support. And then we have this 15-minute resistance around 1990, 700. I would stick to the high time frame, and I would say the first target for buys could potentially be a 1992 target in this previous 4-hour support. The second target for buys, now going back to the daily. So We have a daily resistance around this level. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, on the 4 hour time frame, we have this decent 4 hour resistance with price rejecting the upside, which this is a really good confirmation actually for potential sells at this level. So I'd say the second target for sells, for buys, excuse me. Let's have a look on the hourly, the 5-minute time frame, the 15-minute time frame. Yeah, so it does look a little bit messy within the hourly here because of price ranging at the time. But based on the 4 hour time frame, I would say the decent target for buys for second target could be 1999 800 targeting this 4 hour resistance. And now to look for potential sells, and going back to the daily. So the first thing we can see here is, actually let's have a look at the monthly. So the first thing I can see is this previous monthly resistance formed back in August 2023 at 1963 900. Drop it down to the weekly time frame. We have this previous weekly resistance. On a daily time frame, we have this daily support formed around 1972 100. Drop it down to the 4 hour time frame. We have this 4 hour rejection, 4 hour support. Looking at the hourly time frame, again an hourly rejection. Let's have a look on the 5-minute time frame again. We have this 30-minute support around 1973 100. Looks really messy on the 4 hour and on the hourly because of these rejections, and even on the daily, as we mentioned, because price have been ranging within this level. I would say the first target for sells could potentially be the 30-minute support formed around 1973 100. The second target for sells, now let's go back to the most recent price action, and the first thing we can see here is, actually let's have a look at the monthly. We have this previous monthly resistance formed around 1963 900. Drop it down to the weekly, that matches with the weekly resistance. Looking at the daily time frame, matches with the daily resistance formed back on the 1st of August 2023. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, this is a 4 hour support. I would say this is a really decent target for sells. I would say the second target for sells could potentially be 1963 900, targeting the monthly resistance formed back in August 2023.
Dominion Markets, your trading sanctuary.